Okay, this is Pandora's Star from IMVU, and I will be making a tutorial on shading of the skin slash enhancements. This will probably be quite a long video, so hopefully you don't get bored. Okay, the first thing you want to do is open up your image. I am using Ojits or Ojits, I'm not really sure how to say her name, so sorry if I said it wrong. I hope she doesn't mind I'm using her screeny, but I'm doing this for her contest, so I figured I'd record it while I did it. First thing you want to do is make sure you get kind of close to your skin, about 400%. You want to use your color picker, which is the O key on your keyboard. You want to get the darkest color of her skin so that you can outline the chin shadow. You want to use your brush tool, and depending on the size of the screening or how big or small it is, you pick a size to correspond with the size of the screen. Like this is a circle 3 brush, which is too small. So you go to the next one until you get the perfect size, which a circle brush at 0.5 should be pretty good for her. Now, you want to make a new layer, and you want to outline her chin like so. You go to Filters, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Make sure you find it on your previewer so you can see how far it blurs it out. The highest I ever blur anything is 30, and the lowest I ever blur anything is 5. Well, when it comes to the face is 10, is usually the lowest. So you want to push OK to see how that comes out. And you can see you have excess, but you can always get rid of that in the end. You want to go to your layers and put it on multiply. Now that looks a lot too dark, right? Yeah, I know. That's why you lower the opacity so that you can get usually 40 to 50. And it also helps if you bring up the original image so you can compare, because you don't want it too dark on the image. So you want to make sure you have a nice darkening. As you can see the difference between the two. That's maybe too dark, but this is just a quick run through. So, I mean, you adjust it to your likeness of how dark or how light you like it. Now, go zoom back in, make a new layer, and you can always label your layers. Usually I don't, which I should, but I don't. But I will for the sake of this. Shading 2. Shading layer 2. Okay, now you want to put your opacity of your brush to about 70. Using the same color, you outline it on, depending on how far you want it to be shadowed or on which side you want it to be shadowed on, etc. You want to go over the other shading that you did just a little bit so don't create a line. And this step, you never lift up your mouse, because if you do, and you do it again, if you can see, that becomes darker, but you want to try to get all the same color. If you go over something on accident, you can always just erase that part of it. Now, again, you Gaussian blur it. We'll try 20 this time. Push OK. You want your layer to be on multiply. I always zoom out so that I can see it as I go. Let's see how that looks compared. Oh. See how that it's noticeable when you change between it, but then not too noticeable. This might not be exactly the greatest shading, but this is for general idea, like I said. It's going to be where you can pick your own opacity of your layers, so for how dark or how light. You added a new layer, and you go in again, and you want to lower it now to about 40 of the opacity level of your brush. Bear with me, I've never done it with flowers in a person's hair. So now if any of this goes over onto the other part of your picture, in the end you don't have to erase it now. I always usually erase it at the end of the whole enhancement. Sometimes you want to give it a little round effect so it doesn't look as bad. See, I lifted up off I unclicked it, so now I have this ugly darker line. But doesn't mean that it'll be bad. I mean, if you blur it enough, it'll come out fine. Now, this time I'm doing it by 30. Let's see. So when I multiply it, now you want to look between the two layers. And that's pretty much how I did it on the last one. It's just most likely it came out a lot better, believe me. Now, I know it doesn't look corresponding to the top stuff, but I have not gotten to that section yet, as you see. I always do one section, and then I go to the next section, and so on. Now, I'm not going to do this section yet. I'm going to do the shading of the nose, the upper eye, and possibly, if it looks right, underneath the lips. So, you want to make your new layer. Change your opacity back to 100. Ooh, not 1,003. 1,038. That would have been a little too much. Now for the nose, go in and see how big your brush is compared to the nose, which hopefully not too big. This should be fine. Now what you do is no, that is too big. Let's try the 03 brush. Yeah, that's better. Ooh, kind of wiggly there. But you want to round where the nostrils is. Most of the time, that's what I do. Like so, fill in that. You filters, blur, Gaussian blur. I use a lot of Gaussian blur. Start off by 10, sometimes 15 depending on how it looks. Zoom out so you can notice. Multiply. Wow, that is some dark shading. I have it on 50 opacity and on the multiply layer. And that gives you a slightly darker look. It depends if you like the I wouldn't say overly enhanced because it looks good sometimes, but personally I like the more barely noticeable enhancements, but to the point you can still notice that someone did something with it. So it's all, like I said, on your preferences of how dark or light you want the skin, or the shadowing, or the shading. Now sometimes, as you can see, it doesn't even look like I rounded it. So you can always go and make a new layer, and zoom in, and go over it again, like so. You can filter or blur it, but this time about 5 to see how it comes out. Now, I don't do this very often, so sometimes I don't even use it. Multiply it. Have it on the multiply layer. Ooh, let's start. So you put it down by